Spooky Tuesday.
Why do we have to kill the cute ones first?
To make an omelet, you have to kill some ex-boyfriends, plus he's hella annoying.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff, and this is my birthday episode. So this week, it's all about me, baby.
One time for the birthday, bitch.
That's me. Yeah, so I'm pretty psyched because this is one of my favorite movies, and I kind of don't know why I haven't suggested doing it before now. But we haven't gotten to it. But I was thinking, what do I want to do for my birthday? And this is, I think, an iconic pick. We'll see if Sydney hated it. But I know Monica likes it because she has already seen it because I've already made her watch it. This week, we are doing Tragedy Girls, which came out in 2017. It's got a lot of like shared DNA with some other movies we've done recently. Bodies, 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 Chicago, some other stuff. But if you haven't heard of it, I'll read the IMDb script for you real quick. It reads, a twist on the slasher genre, following two death-obsessed teenage girls who use their online show of this is so wordy. Okay, scratch
It's
that.
long.
It's about two besties with a little true crime blog who decide, I'm done waiting for the crime to come to me. I'm gonna commit the crimes.
It's true. This movie, I'm so glad we're doing it on the pod. I mean, this is one of the first scary movies that Chelsea and I ever watched together because I was forced at gunpoint to watch it. But you didn't even need to force me because this is just the right type of movie for me as well. But it is such a Spooky Tuesday movie. My God. I don't know. I'm super glad we're doing it, and it is even gayer than I remember.
Okay, Sydney, first impressions. What did you think?
I think I just hate movies that
No!
have like big, strong social media presence.
Okay. Well, you're going to hate it when I make you watch
Why?
#horror one day.
I don't know why, but like it just, I don't know.
Why? Oh my God, I really thought you'd like this one.
It's got a lot in common with Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yeah.
And she hated Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
It reminded me a lot of that.
But doesn't it also remind you a lot? Sadie is so Roxy hardcore.
She is. She truly is.
She really is. That's actually very, very true.
There was like one specific moment in my notes where I was like, she says, I don't know what it was, but she's like, I'm special. How come nobody else realizes that? How come I have to do everything? She is absolutely Roxy Hart. But she's got a better relationship with her Velma / Amos than Roxy Hart does, because Michaela's her bestie. That's her ride or die. Less die, more kill here in this genre.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they're just two straight up sociopaths. Like actually. It's not even like because you just said in your little description like they decide to stop waiting for the kills to happen to get famous and doing them themselves. They've been doing them since they were fucking in dance class together, like children. Had been killing, you know what I mean? Like that's their fave pastime. And I really like that perspective, having it be from the killer's perspective in that way. We don't get that all the time.
Yeah, I think it's really fun as a movie. I think that it is like really funny, banger after banger, line after line. Like most of my notes are just like writing down quotes that gave me a little giggle. But there's also some very special guests in this movie that I think are important. One of them uncredited, so he really can be a surprise at any moment ideally. I mean, I guess if you Google it, he pops right up. But if you're just looking at IMDb, he's not even listed on there, so that when he appears, it's just like Josh Hutcherson's in this movie, and he sure is. He sure
That's
is.
so funny. Wait, he's not listed? That was supposed to be like
He's
a jump
literally-
scare?
When I Googled Tragedy Girls, he was on like he was like the third person to pop
That's
up on
because
Google.
somebody's a hater. Somebody
I
wanted
forgot
to spoil that surprise.
that he is in this, and it's giving all the Hunger Girls realness that I'm looking for. I just recently watched Orphan and Orphan First Kill, and so I saw the main actress in both of those films went on to be Clove in Hunger Games, so I watched a compilation of her character on YouTube, got really back into my Hunger Games vibe, saw in there, and then immediately watched Tragedy Girls the next day and was like, oh my god, do I need to rewatch Hunger Games right now? I'm
You
feeling
should,
the
because there's a
call.
prequel coming out.
Oh shit. Also,
Ballad of
Amandla
Songbirds
or
and
Amandla
Snakes.
is in that as well, and we just did Bodies, Bodies, Bodies not too long ago, so the
all
vibes
comes
are
back to Hunger Games.
screaming. They're calling for me. They're calling for me. But I just loved the opening of this movie. I thought it was really, really, really fucking fun. Because I
Poor
also
Craig.
poor Craig, but also I didn't realize that was that fucking guy who's in everything now. What's his name? Ugh.
He's in Dash 'Em Lily.
Abrams. Austin Abrams. He like has had his little like mid-20s, because I'm sure he's not a teenager, Avi. Mid-20s glow up. And so I didn't even recognize him as first. He's such a little baby in this. But good for him. Um I just love the setup. And I love that they waste no time. They waste no fucking time in this movie. They're like, oh no, you don't get to know the characters as other people. And then there's a reveal that they're actually like killers. It's like in the first 5. And I appreciate that.
It's not a twist. They just
It's
said,
not.
we're having fun. This is what we're doing. Get on board.
What we do is we kill. And then we want to get famous. Like those are the two things. A lot of Chicago vibes here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fun because they do give you, I don't know, 35 seconds of being like, oh no, I'm scared for her or whatever. Because they set the scene. And Sweetheart Bridge apparently is like a real location that they didn't like location scout. They were just filming in the area and they were gonna do like a Lover's Lane kind of thing. But then locals were like, hey, what about Sweetheart Bridge? Which is fun. And they popped on over there. So they've got like the car, they're making out in the car, the windows are all fogged up, but you get this moment when she is like glimpsing out of the window to be like, what was that noise? Where you see her smirk. And I just think it's really fun when you know what's happening to rewatch, or maybe if you catch on right away, the way she like goads Craig to get out of the car and check. She's so mean. She's so determined.
She's so mean from the start. She's like, are you a little pussy bitch? Or are you gonna go like take care of us? Okay, you need to get out there. Are you scared?
I heard you were a
like,
man, Craig.
yeah. Oh
This
my
whole
God.
movie is a little mean spirited too.
Oh
I mean, yeah. Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're mean girl killers. That's their whole thing. Oh man. But I just like when they catch the killer in the first place and they're like interrogating him or whatever. It's just so funny. Like when they're tasing him and they're like, fucking Amazon, this shit doesn't work. It's so good every moment. But I love that, like, they have no fucking fear. That's how you know there's something really wrong, like on a chemical level. They're like not scared of this man who's killed 4 people in the last 6 months or however many years, I don't know, at all, because they're so like sure of their plan and sure of like their path. They're like, nothing can go wrong. We're gonna feed this murderer, serial killer, dog food, and laugh about it every day during our lunch break. Like, holy shit.
That's true. I misrepresented them earlier when I was like, they're tired of waiting for crime to come to them. No, they're looking for a serial killing mentor. That's what they say. They say, we need somebody to train us the way of the experts. Right now, we're taking notes on Breaking Bad. We're learning about dissolving bodies in acid or lye or whatever. And we came up with our own mixture. God, it took so many stray cats and dogs to get it right.
And there's so many fun mentions of the cats and dogs throughout. Like they mentioned that at the beginning, and then like later on, like Sadie's dad is like, "Hey, have you seen the cat in a while?" And there's like other references throughout. Oh my god, horrible, classic, homicidal maniac.
Yeah, I just think I love that Sadie gave 30 blowjobs, hand jobs, hand jobs. She gave 30 hand jobs just waiting for this guy to finally show. She presumably got the pixie cut just for this.
No, she got, that's what they say. She's like, luckily I look great in a pixie cut. She did that just for this. Thank God, because it looks iconic on her.
She did look good in a pixie cut.
Yeah, it suits her face. She looks like a little fairy. It's great. Makes her all the less unassuming, you know, or all the more unassuming, excuse me, that you'd never expect that she's the one perpetrating the crimes.
I love that she will stick to the bit too, like commit to the bit. Like that's very important to me.
Yeah, she's really, they're both very willing to follow through. You know what I mean? They're not half-assing anything. They've bought a taser. They have learned chemistry to some degree. You know, they're having a good time just trying things out, figuring out what works for them. Sadie's the real idea girl, it seems. But they're both, you know, they're a really good collaborative team, at least at first.
Yeah. I mean, I read some really fun articles about this movie. And they're two that they were almost identically the same, but they're just about how gay this movie is. And apparently, somehow, there was no intent for that in the writer's room, which is just like, what? Like, I literally don't understand how, because it is so overt to me. Like, it doesn't feel like subtext. It feels like text. Like, it just feels innate to the whole thing. I don't know. So that really shocked me. But like that said, like it was just like it felt like a film gay enough to be in our Pride Month lineup. Like that's how real it felt to me. It might be partly because I am head over heels in love with Alexandra Shipp. Like, whew, my God. Anytime I see her in anything, I'm like, hello, my love of my life.
Well, I think it helps.
Think when you are here.
I think it helps that both Alexandra Shipp and Brianna Hildebrand, the two main characters, are both queer, those actresses. So I'm sure they were bringing something to the table, intentionally or otherwise, although, you know, I imagine to some degree intentionally. I think it's hard not to, they're so like insane over each other's boyfriends, you know what I mean? It just feels like
they have palpable jealousy.
Those actresses know. They were making choices.
Yeah, they were like, okay, like the writers don't get what they wrote, but I get what they wrote, and let me help you here. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean the killings start pretty quickly after that, though. I feel like maybe we can go through the killings. We've got Craig, who gets macheted by Lowell, our serial killer, but Lowell can't even finish the job. He can't even kill well. And so they have to do him off. Just like a cutesy little smothering, like no big deal.
I love that the serial killer's name is Lowell, because that was my great grandma's name.
Oh, they did it for her. Aw.
Yeah, beautiful family name. He is great in this. He's really funny in this throughout. Kevin Durand. That's who plays Lowell. But yeah, I just love that, like, you know, in these first 10 minutes still, you're like, if you had any doubts over how serious these bitches are about doing murders, let's not get it twisted. They're going to do one right now. Like, it's not just like them setting up Craig to get killed. Like, they're going to kill Craig if they need to kill Craig, and then they're going to chop him into fucking pieces. Like, I just love that it's like immediately letting you know, like, this isn't like what you thought it was going to be.
I will say that is one of my questions is like, why chop up Craig unless it's to cover the evidence that they had to smother him, you know what I mean? And like they've moved his body. I mean, so they're already getting involved at that point. They didn't just like let him drop where he dropped. But like, did they need him to go missing for what they hoped would be like prolonged interest in his case? I'm not sure about that. That's one of my only questions about this movie is like they know that Lowell's pattern is that like the bodies are found, they've got little pictures.
Well, I think that they couldn't have. I think he had to go missing completely because then otherwise it might have been clear that he was with Sadie that night, and that would raise a lot of questions. Like if she didn't say anything, she'd have to make a statement and all that stuff. And so like instead they like got to paint the whole picture of like where like he's gone missing, and then they spread their own narrative in the following scenes where they're like, yeah, like no one's heard from him and I hope he's okay, but I hope something bad didn't happen and all this stuff, you know.
The way they immediately start stirring the pot,
Immediately. I mean, oh my god, and they're loving it way too much. Oh my god, especially KK. MK, or KK as Josh calls her, is she is more overtly into it, I would say, just from her whole vibe. Or maybe she's not as nuanced in her performance of being a person who doesn't kill people for fun. I don't know. But she seems like extra giddy throughout, which like love it. She's feeling passionate about her craft, you know. Love that for her.
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting. Because in the movie, like it definitely gives you that impression. And obviously by the end, she's kind of like, if I have to go it alone, I will. To a degree. But Sadie really was the idea girl. She's the one who comes up with the plans. She's the one who like had the initial like, oh, let's kill our first victim together. I'm gonna do it right now. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I wonder if she just like has more. She's less like kill motivated, maybe, and more. I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting question to ponder, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like halfway through, like Sadie gets like scared a little bit of like truly what they're doing. But Michaela never has, like, maybe she was slower to start, but she never has doubts once she got into it, you know?
She took to it like a natural.
Yeah, you know, Sadie maybe was like debuted as a sociopath younger in life, and Michaela had to warm up to it. But then Sadie's having like, you know, mid-teen crisis. We're like, do I want to be a serial killer for the rest of my life, or do I want to date Jack Quaid? Which is a hard question to ask because he is adorable.
He is very adorable, but he also looks so old in this movie.
Yeah,
he
he
looks
sure does.
younger now than he did
Like,
then. I don't understand what's happening.
I was watching it and I was like, this looks like a 32-year-old man. And I know he's like not 32.
They do say he was held back, but that just doesn't quite make up for it. I don't know what was going
30
on.
now, so someone
He's
do
like
math.
25, 5 years ago.
Yeah. But he looks way older than 25 in this movie. It was a little distracting.
I'm prepared to look past it.
Yeah, I was just like, I love Jack Quaid, who's also in the Hunger Games. Just saying.
All comes back to the Hunger Games.
I forgot about that completely until I watched that compilation.
And he's in the new Scream. And this movie, Tragedy Girls, really makes a lot of it is kind of like Scream-esque in the way that it's kind of trying to be in conversation with horror tropes and like other horror movies. There are a lot of references.
So many. We get a Final Destination reference, baby.
Perfect for our summer. I'm glad we timed this so purposefully.
I love when we do that.
We're so
very
smart.
Smart and great at planning. That's something that everyone says about us.
We've always known this to be true. Yeah.
But yeah, I love all of the horror references within this. And I loved in the articles that I read, they're talking about there's this one moment where Sadie and Michaela are standing with each other talking to Jack Quaid's character. I can't remember his name right now. Jordan. And Michaela is standing behind Sadie, and they're positioned exactly like that part at the end of Scream, where Stu and Billy are
in the kitchen.
Are in the kitchen, and they're all like snuggled up together. It's like it looks exactly like it. Like I saw side by side pictures. Like it really feels like that, and that feels like the relationship that they have. That they're these two psychopaths killing people for funsies, literally. And they're gay in love. It's literally the same thing. Like that is what is happening. The writers can say what they want, but it was 2017. Just say what it is. I don't get it.
Yeah, and this is a reveal they kind of give you at the end of the movie, but I think it's fine to spoil now. They also kill Jack Quaid's mom. Like he's literally Sidney Prescott. It's just not from his perspective, this movie.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is Scream. This is gender bent
They make this movie and not think that it was gay when Scream is literally gay? I mean, I know that everybody involved with Scream didn't start being out loud about how it was gay until like this year, basically, but we all knew all along.
No, it was so clear. Yeah, it's literally gender bent Scream. That's so crazy from the opposite perspective. I love that. Wow, I love the movie 20 times more now.
But yeah, there's Scream references, there's Halloween references.
Yeah, when Lowell falls out the window and and then they go to check on him and he's gone. I was like, okay, got it, figured it out.
There's that girl Sil who makes the little lending libraries, and apparently her lending library is modeled after the Myers house from Halloween as well, which I sure didn't notice, but I'll be looking for social. There also are like a bunch of Carrie references with the prom at the end.
Oh yeah, that was overt.
Oh yeah, that was really clear. But there's that moment where like Jordan's dad is watching TV and he's falling asleep, and there's a scene from Night of the Living Dead playing. The characters' last names come from one of the directors of the Friday the 13th franchise and one of the directors of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Like, I think they were doing some good heavy lifting, being like in conversation with horror as a genre.
No, totally. I really agree. I also felt seen as a young woman in the horror community trying to make it out there, plugging their social media left and right. I was like, this feels like me at the end of every Spooky Tuesday episode. Like, follow us at spooky_Tuesday. Like, they're like tragedy girls. It's plural. It's like, okay, game recognizes game. We're all out here trying to make it, baby.
And I even love when they go to Josh Hutcherson's character and they're like, he has more followers than us. Let's get him to do a shout out. And he's like, I don't really know if that's my brand.
That's
Sorry.
off brand for me. And Sadie's like, literally go fuck yourself. Literally just die.
Let's talk about, we got to go through all the kills. So the first one is Josh after Craig, of course. And what is his character? Do we know his name? Is
Toby.
Oh my God. It's just so funny how they like shoot Josh Hutcherson in this. Like just with his fucking shitty ass mustache. He looks kind of dewy and sweaty on his motorcycle,
He's
but
a
it's just
bad
like
boy.
he's a bad boy. It's like dreamy soft lighting around his face, like, and I love that he has this like bewitching power over Michaela. she's she's like, I've missed you, and he's like, I've missed you too, KK. Calls her KK. Oh my god. I mean, that get me too. I don't blame him. Even though he's the size of my literal fucking leg, that's it. I still get it. I get it, KK. I get it.
He's
Something
a
about a
handsome guy.
motorcycle. He is.
He's a
I
short
was
king. He's a
on the
handsome guy.
he is a short king. Um, but I loved that scene so much. And I love that immediately Sadie's like, he must die. Like he's
Yes.
distracting you. He's got to go. Like she loves Michaela, okay? And she is getting rid of the competition. Kayla's like, why do we have to kill the hotties first? That is a good question.
Well,
But
he's bogging her down. He won't give them a shout out even. There's nothing more he can do for them.
15,000 followers. Like that's so fucked up. But
yeah, I think
if one of our friends had that many followers and they wouldn't give us a shout out, maybe we would also kill them, you know? Like I feel like that's
I'm not
valid.
admitting to anything on the record.
it
We
would be
just
fucked
had
up.
our lawyer on a few episodes ago. I know better now.
If
She doesn't
Um,
listen, therefore it doesn't exist. It's fine. It's fine.
If she
Anything we
doesn't
say
know
here
about
is
it, yeah.
safe and confident. It's confidential, guys. This is the circle of trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys
As
been
our
telling us,
listeners,
right? Right?
We
Yeah,
can
y'all
trust
aren't-
you guys, right? Right?
Just get
You guys
stitches.
did
Okay.
Right?
You encouraged hate listeners on the Bodies episode though. So I do feel we're playing with fire a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of like really good camera work and fun shots in this film that I really like. But just the Josh Hutcherson stuff is so funny to me because they have like the zoom in, they've got the music, really trying to create this like atmosphere of like what he's saying is so deep and meaningful. Like he's such a hottie. But whenever it cuts to Sadie, that all just like drops away immediately so that you get her being like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, why is Michaela falling for this? Like, why does everybody think this guy is so great? I just think it's really fun.
I just love so much that like okay, why are they filming the whole death? Because like that's just evidence for them to be caught later. I don't understand that part, but okay, whatever. But also the fact that they're so messy so many times in this movie with like, you know, fingerprints and
children.
gloves and DNA, and I'm like, how the fuck are they getting away with this shit? I'm like, honest to God, honest to blog, I feel bad for the dad sheriff man. But he is actually maybe terrible at his job because there's evidence everywhere. If they're like fingerprinting at all, these bitches are not wearing gloves. Also, KK fucking makes out with Josh Hutcherson's corpse. That shit was so fucking funny. It's like, if I'm gonna be murdered, I'm glad that it's you. Like, oh my god, iconic line. Iconic
His
line.
last moments,
So
he's
good.
a lady killer.
That's what I
So-
want somebody's last words to me to be.
After you murder them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
Either
think
the last thing you ever hear is us because you're listening to the podcast,
Bye.
or you die in front of us, and that's what you have to say as we
Yeah.
kill you.
lots to take
then-
in there.
Here's the thing.
Those are
You
your
will
options.
say, if I'm gonna get murdered, I'm glad it was by you. And then we'll say, bye, spooky.
Bye, spookies. Yeah.
Spookies, and that will be it. It'll sing you off
And
to
then you'll die.
the afterlife.
That sounds
sounds
fun. You
really
guys like
nice.
that?
That sounds really nice, actually. Yeah.
It's spooky.
What
But
a
yeah,
way
I
to go.
mean, I think that to make some more clear references and connections, some more through lines here, the sheriff is very reminiscent of the whole urban legend stuff from last week, where it was like everything on campus, they kept being like, no, like don't worry about it. There's no massacre, there's no murders happening, just this one little one. Like, we don't need to look into anything. It's literally fine. That's what's happening in this movie. It's the exact same thing.
No, you're so right. I didn't understand why he was doing that too. I was like, is he trying to like keep the investigation under wraps, or does he really think that nothing's going on? You think he'd be more paranoid after what happened to his wife, but everybody copes differently. Um and I still don't understand how like that was really shown how his wife died. I don't know if it was clear that she died from asphyxiation or if they made it look like a car crash or what. Who knows what
Yeah,
these
that's my
6-year-olds were
impression.
capable of.
That's my impression.
But
I don't know why. That's the only thing that makes sense to me is that they just assumed that it was a car crash and that like the little girlies ran out of the car, because somebody would have to know that this was the adult who picked them up from dance class. You know what I mean? So it's not
yeah.
like they could get away with it otherwise. If there were like ligature marks around her neck, maybe they assumed she like smashed it into something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jack Quaid says at one point, like, they never officially determined that his mom's death was a murder instead of an accident. And so
Oh
I have
yeah.
to wonder if, like, part of it is just that this is like a small town, Midwest America. And maybe it's one of those things where they're like, crime doesn't happen here. And if it does, we just pretend that it doesn't.
But what's crime? I certainly don't know. um I think the next kill is probably my favorite one because it's just so fun. I don't know, there's something about a wood shop kill that I just really like. And also, how dare Syl try to cancel prom?
They're Titanic themed prom.
Titanic themed prom. It was bound for disaster with a theme like that, but the girlies planned it themselves. So
Yeah, so can we be shocked that they planned
yeah,
it after a
that's
mass
why.
casualty event?
But yeah, Syl's character's so funny because she's like this like overachiever who volunteers and like helps people in scarecrows all the time, but she's like a fucking bitch to that little glasses girl who's her friend. She's so mean to her, like treats her as like a servant all the time. It's horrible. So I thought that was a really fun dichotomy with her. Um, but I love the lending library thing. I didn't notice that it was a Michael Myers house sort of vibe. But you know, no one should be really woodworking after dark. I say that as someone who just tried to have a nice steak dinner outside with my boyfriend, and someone next door was fucking like soldering iron or cutting wood. And I was like, it's night. It is time for rest. Please cut it out. And so if he wasn't careful, he could have had his head also go through a big saw, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
It could have happened. It's dark, it's scary. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
mad.
there's a fun detail about that too, I think, where when initially presented with Syl as a character, she does seem like maybe she's a nice, good person. And her whole thing is like, oh, look at all this volunteering I do. I think we should cancel prom after Craig was killed and Toby was killed, and we can like donate the rest of our prom money to their families. And isn't that a nice idea? Blah, blah, blah. And like her lending library is going to this like philanthropy contest or whatever. If she rearranges her schedule at the old folks home, she can go to the animal hospital. I don't know, whatever it was. And then just immediately she's like, fuck this girl, fuck you guys, like this is my scholarship, I need everybody to know I'm a good person. Like that's one thing that I think is fun about this movie is they really like nobody is inherently good for the most part. Big Al's actually pretty good.
Big Al is perfect.
Yeah, Big Al.
Big Al is everything.
But we'll get to him.
Okay.
We'll get to him in a
Big
sec.
Al.
Because this is where the Final Destination references come in with that table saw one. Although with Big Al also, honestly, given the
No,
Final
that was
Destination 3 of it
intentional.
all. Yeah.
But that was an intentional kill. This one, you know, they were there to kill Syl, but did they kill Syl? Not really. It was a series of unfortunate events. Like, I don't remember how her foot gets caught in the thing and she flies through the sky and gets her head zapped off, but you know.
She's kind of just running away to a degree. It takes a moment for it to really sink in that it's when she recognizes Michaela's shoes from cheer practice earlier, when she's like, Michaela, those are not regulation shoes, we just want everybody to be safe. And Michaela was like, okay, fuck you. And Sadie literally called her a cunt. I just think they're so fun. I think they're so fun.
I love them.
There's something
I would want to be their friends if I didn't know that they'd probably kill me.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to be their friends, but I would watch like a 7-season TV show about them. You know what I mean? Which is interesting to me because I sometimes struggle with like, if I don't like a character or if I can't root for a character, I don't want to watch them for that long. I'm usually okay with a movie because it's a limited time period, but I just find them delightful. You know what I mean? I am very happy to root for the murderers in this movie.
Totally. I'm just like, get back together and kill again. What's happening?
You guys, fix the problems in your friendship. What about your grand plans?
We got to get the band back together.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so funny too that they're like, oh my God, this one's going to seem like a fucking joke, like a fucking fluke again. So they're like, we just gotta really go all out. And they chop her into a million pieces and put her head on the spinny saw thing. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, because that's the thing about Toby's death is that like they just decide for some no good reason that it must be an accident. That's the whole chief thing again. Because they put down a spike strip, which is also very urban legends, or urban legend, no S. What's the name of the movie that we just did? Is it singular or plural? One,
Singular.
I think. Urban
It's
legend,
singular.
a singular movie about multiple legends. But they have the spike strip. He crashes. He still does not die. And so that is my question, I guess, is like, did they want it to look like an accident? And then it was ruled an accident, but they'd already stabbed him by that point. So they were like, okay, why not murder now? But yeah, they sure stabbed him to death. And then the news was like, no, the story is about road safety for teens. And they were like, okay, but we literally practiced our interview on the way over here so that it would be perfect. We've been rehearsing. You're not going to give us our moment.
It's not fair. But they really get the ball rolling once they kill Syl because there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I just love that, like, they're trying so hard to make it all about them in a way that won't make it seem like they're fucking psychos. But I don't think they're doing that good of a job because they're too happy through everything and they're plugging their social media through everything. And I'm sorry I didn't like the social media bits of it, but I thought it was so funny that they had the little like likes and comments and follower counts like popping up throughout. I thought that was cute.
I think I just get, because I work with social media all the time. Like I don't like, know what I mean? I am. Like
that was going to be my question is it that you don't like movies where social media is like part of the plot, or do you not like movies where social media plays a prominent role for the characters? Is there a difference in that? I guess I'm not sure now that I say it out loud.
There is a difference, but like is it Host or something like that where they're all on like Zoom or something? Like I'm okay with those kinds, but it just like the constant online in a movie, like I know that's what we are, but I don't want to.
You want your escape from being online.
Yeah, it's just like I don't want to watch TV shows about the COVID pandemic, you know, like
sure.
Just don't want that. I think that might be one of the reasons why I like older horror movies so much.
because
is
there's
going-
more of an
not a
escape
cell
'cause they're
phone in
so
sight.
different
Everyone's
from
just
our
vibing.
reality.
Yes.
That makes sense. That makes more sense. Wow, we're figuring out Sydney here on
Wow.
the Chelsea birthday episode of
I
Spooky
love to
Tuesday.
psychoanalyze.
I love to learn more so I don't just get irrationally angry when we don't agree. And so this is good for our relationship. Thank you. I was so upset when you did like bodies, but now I get it.
I did not like bodies.
I know. But anyway, okay, the next thing is with Big Al. And
I
he
love Big
also
Al.
You also have
He's
to
the
mention
best.
the hot teacher too, because I just love that we have this hottie teacher and her and Big Al have like this very sexy thing going on. Like, and oh my God, that was really good. But he is wonderful. He's so wonderful. He's the perfect man. He's a firefighter. It's Craig Robinson who plays Big Al, and I'm obsessed with him. He is also a very nice man in real life. I met him in line for ice cream at the farmer's market at the Grove. And I was like, I love your work. And he was like, thank you very much. And was very earnest and nice and didn't hate me. I was young then. That's why I said something. Anyway, he was a doll and he's wonderful. And he's wonderful in this. But he just steals their thunder in their mind, but to go up there and be like, we won't rest until the killer is dead, you know. And I just love how fucking petty these bitches are. Oh my God.
When I was reading Reddit, I clicked on a thing and it just says, those who've seen Tragedy Girls, what the fuck is up with Craig Robinson constantly drawing attention to his weight loss? And they talk about like there's two scenes and he's like working out with his trainer, and another scene where people are awkwardly like calling him hot and it doesn't fit. And somebody was like, I went to a screening with the writer director, and the person they wrote it was supposed to be this like really buff dude, but they casted Craig Robinson in it and they just thought it would be funnier instead of rewriting the role.
I disagree. I think
still
he's just
ripped.
hot. Yeah, I think he's just hot. And he's just a big dude and he's strong. And I don't think they needed to make any changes just because he also happens to be fat.
He is so hot and he also is so ripped. Did you see his arm when he did that arm thing? He did the little thing and he was flexing whatever this muscle is on the back of your arm. No one knows what it's called.
Triceps?
Sure. I'm sure that's right. But he's ripped and he's hot. And he could pick me up.
Are you caught up on What We Do in the Shadows?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't spoil.
Okay, it's not really a spoiler. But there's just one moment where like Naja and the guide and maybe Laszlo are talking about a particular character. They're talking about the Baron. You know how he's like all burned in half of a body? And he lives with the gargoyle. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Is that description enough for you? I think Monica to work with. He's burned and he's half of a body. But they're like, obviously he's still fuckable. And it's like, obviously, like it doesn't even need to be said he's still fuckable. That's just the vibe that I got from this moment, which is just like, look, sometimes people have innate sex appeal. We don't need to question it beyond that. Sometimes people are fuckable and hot as hell.
Couldn't agree more, even though I muted everything you last said just in case there actually was a spoiler for What We Do in the Shadows. I literally turned off the sound just in case. So I don't know what you said.
Several episodes behind, but that's okay. You'll never hear it, I guess, maybe, but that's
I might
all right.
listen to the episode. You don't know. But yeah, I mean, Big Al is just hot, and he's also kind. And he also is looking out for the better man. And so, of course, he is the heartthrob of this small town. And it doesn't surprise me at all. But I wish they didn't kill him. I love him. Why did they kill him? But also, it was so funny watching these tiny little itty bitties like go against Big Al, you know, because especially when Michaela like jumps on his back. And like he's like running around with her. She looks so itty, like so tiny. But her like whole gimmick trying to get him to drink the sleepy water. was
Let's
hilarious.
hydrate.
And it's like, oh my God. Like, don't you see me drinking water? And does it not make you want to drink water too? It's too bad. I mean, the only way they could have killed him is with a giant dumbbell smashing his head off.
But
Since they
that's
did not have the physical strength, but
yeah. That's also a Final Destination 3 reference.
yeah.
With the scene with what's his face, Texas Battle's character. Obviously
Yes,
it's not
Texas
exactly the same,
Battle.
but it felt so, especially right after they were just talking about Final Destination, it felt like another little homage.
Yeah, I love it. We love a gym death. It's beautiful. Um, and all that speediness with the kill just so she could get back with Jack Quaid. Because I loved that he started to like see I love the aspect where he only saw what he wanted to see. Even though it was clear that Michaela and Sadie are wrapped around each other's fingers, he like only wanted to see that Sadie was good and that Michaela was bad. And so he like didn't question it when like right after Michaela sent that text out to everyone in the entire group and he witnessed that like Sadie and Michaela stood up together and chanted in unison. Like he just ignored all of those details. Later on when there's the confrontation between Sadie and Michaela that he overhears, like he just ignores all the parts where Michaela's like, Sadie, you killed Jordan's mom. And he's like, no, Michaela did that. It certainly wasn't you. You know, he's just so in denial. Which, you know, you don't want to believe the girl you have a crush on killed your mom. I get that.
I wouldn't want to
I
believe it
get
either.
that. Nah, yeah, I get that. Who dies next? What happens
The
next?
mayor,
The mayor.
because they have that press conference where they stand up and they're like, remember Al, and then it like launches into a giant march for Al. And at some point while this is all going on, Lowell escapes their little hidey hole that they've set up for him with the dog food. So now he's out on the town. But I think it's such a funny moment when they're all like chanting at the beginning of the march and they're all so excited. Everybody's hyped up and it cuts to like 2 seconds later. Everybody's like, is this over yet? Like, are we done? This is a longer march than we realized. They're like, we're only 1/3 of the way through.
That was so fucking funny.
Okay. The march where you see like Lowell's shadow in the background, let me know because it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but that felt to me like an homage to I Know What You Did Last Summer with like the parade stuff with Sarah Michelle Gellar's character.
Ooh, it's been so long since I've seen that, but I believe it. When you said that, I felt a spark in my heart, you know? But I cannot confirm nor deny.
Maybe I'll look a little more closely and see if I can find anything. And if I can, I'll share a bunch of these references on social later. But I'm willing to give it to them tentatively for now.
I would love for there to be a what did you do last summer? What? Fuck.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Pretend. I tried to say
what we do in the shadows.
What we do in the last summer. The new film. Sweet God. Yeah, that poor mare though, she gets it fast. Impaled on a whole pole.
Goes all the way up through her.
Yeah. I don't know how he did that.
We don't need to know
but
how.
He's
That's
he's a very skilled killer. And we respect him for it. We're like, okay, sure, lol. Yeah, and we mentioned this for a minute earlier, but like I loved the part where he tried so hard to manipulate Michaela and it like kind of did get to her. But like she really plays along with it and then laughs in his fucking face. It's so good. It's so good. Like that I just think that she is so believable as a crazy psycho in this. Like she just like has that smile on her face and that like unadulterated joy in her eyes as she goes through all of it, and it's just like I think she nailed this role. I really do.
Yeah, I think she's having a blast. She's living her best life other than the whole Jordan aspect. And to a degree, she was willing to put up with him because he edits all of their videos for their blog.
Their
And
videos
by the way,
slap, by the
yeah,
way.
he does an
Their
amazing
videos
job.
are so good.
How do we
that
get him to
cut?
edit our videos?
Yeah,
I know,
can
seriously,
his
you do a way better
character
job than I
jump
could
out of the movie.
ever do.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get hit by a bus, you know?
Oh my God, the
I
girl
think
who
about it
played
sometimes.
Silas in Big Time Rush. Just saying. Anyway,
That's fun for her. The girl who played the glasses girl was just supposed to be an extra with like one line, but then she was so funny that they just kept giving her like more little things to do.
I loved her. She was so good when she gets drunk at prom.
She's in love with Sil, and then she transfers that crush right onto Sadie. She loves a powerful woman.
Mm-hmm. Who takes charge.
Okay, but after the mayor, then there's the attack at Jordan's house. Because we skipped this line. It's not that big of a line. It's not that big of a deal, but I just think it's really funny. Where I think after Toby's death, the principal like wants to maybe it's after Sil's death. The principal wants to talk to both Sadie and Michaela. And Jordan comes over and is like, hey, Michaela, like, you can tell Sadie that if my dad asks her for an alibi, she can say that she was with me watching a Dario Argento movie. And she's like, Dario DiGiorno, Dario Arpeggio, Mario, Wario, I don't care. She's just such a cunt to him. And that's important to me.
I also love that part where they're being interrogated by the sheriff dad. And they're like, how old was the assailant? And he's like, old, but not like you, not like old as time or something like that.
Father
Wasn't it
time.
fucking- not like father time old like you, but like old. And I thought that was so fucking funny. So rude.
He's also like, you guys could turn off your locations. And they're like, I would literally rather die. Which Sydney and I can relate to for each other. Monica can't relate.
I would rather die than give you my location.
Yeah, that's been made very clear.
Okay, so yeah, I thought that the attack at Jordan's house was really interesting and fun. But before that, I just love how the girls are so fucking scared once Lowell is out on the town because they're like, he's coming for us. And they're like, why aren't you giving us a private security detail? They're like trying to like pull out all their connections to get protection. And it's so over. It's so funny. But I can't believe that Jordan survived that. Like, what type
A
of knife is
machete?
that?
Yeah.
Machete to the chest. Like, he's strong.
Big boy.
He's gangly, but he's strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was fun though. Mostly because also there is an Elvis hound frog in that scene, and it becomes plot relevant when it becomes used as a weapon. I knew you would
I
like
love
that.
that.
I thought maybe it would be enough to woo you for the whole film, but that's okay. But it is funny. It's
It was
cute.
the
There's a little
perfect
garden
thing
gnome.
for both me and Sydney because it was a frog, which I love, and it was Elvis, which Sydney loves. Together,
Amazing.
ain't nothing but a hound frog. So good, and I loved how angry he was, like in that, not angry, but like faux angry. He was like, "God damn, yes, it is an Elvis frog."
But yeah, I mean, that attack does not go well for Lowell, in the sense that he gets chased away and they have the Michael Myers through the window moment. But it goes really fucking well for Sadie in that now everybody's like, yay, she's a hero. There's no more suspicion on anyone's front except from Michaela, because Michaela was starting to be like, we need to kill Jordan. He took my phone. He's suspicious. He like suspects me. He knows more than he's letting on, and he does. And Sadie doesn't believe her bestie, the cardinal rule. But she goes over to Jordan's house and she's like, all right, fine. She is willing to kill him. So, you know, she still gets
was
bestie
about
points.
to kill him.
Yeah, she gets the bestie. She brings her little knife with the ribbons tied on it.
Cute.
So cute. And instead she ends up saving Jordan. And so now it's like, not only did she not immediately believe Michaela, but now she's like dating Jordan, and now she's being hailed as a hero. And the news lady is like, what's next for the tragedy girl? Singular. And she doesn't correct the record. She's just like, I don't know. I guess I'll just like try to be good and like do good stuff. And it's like, you
Fame
little
went
bitch.
straight to her head.
Fame changed her.
Disgusting.
That's very
And-
Velma and Roxy also. Roxy
Oh,
would have
yeah.
100% ditched Velma if given the chance.
Oh yeah, and also like after that they have their like formal breakup. Like Michaela quits the prom committee and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Sadie tries to be like holier than thou or whatever. But I just am so obsessed with the sad montage that comes after that. They do a great montage in this movie. But that sad montage where they're like both going through the motions of what they would normally do, and Sadie's with Jordan, but she looks fucking miserable the whole goddamn time.
Literally
Michaela's
making
just
out with her
by
boyfriend,
herself.
thinking about Michaela.
Yeah, gay.
Classic gay.
Like fucking hell. I can't believe that was not the intent here. I have more to say when we get to the end, but like, what the hell?
It doesn't
Oh
make
my
sense.
God. It doesn't make a lick of sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Anyway, but you know that they have to get back together, but like, how long is it gonna take? Long enough for prom to come around. It's not good. Um, but I love that Michaela goes to prom with Lowell. Like, I love that collab. I thought it was so funny. Also, Michaela looked great in her prom dress, very cute. So did Sadie. And yeah, poor Jordan. Sadie doesn't seem into him at all, even when they're actually interacting and it's not the montage. Like, he is just seeing what he wants to see. At first, for sure.
Okay.
At first, for sure. Yeah, at the beginning. But, like, at this point in the movie, like, that's done, She's over it. It's pretty
She
clear.
wanted both. She wanted to have both.
Yeah. She wanted the whole enchilada, but alas, it's not how it works. Not with Michaela. She's our all or nothing kind of girl, Yeah,
I loved that she brought Lowell to prom. I thought that was both like funny, hilarious, and also was a good little misdirection for the audience. Because there's not like a lot of twists necessarily in this movie. Like, there are some surprises in the sense that like maybe you can't guess what's supposed to be happening because you're not usually getting the horror movie from the killer's perspective. But I think they do tease that in the beginning where he's like, you should ditch her, I'm your guy. And she's like, literally, fuck you. But then she's like, okay, Lowell, take me to prom, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, are they really going to kill Sadie? She's got a new bestie in town? Like, one betrayal and it's over? No, of course not. Of course not.
No, it's all a long con. Also, I love like the subtle side plot of the hot blonde teacher like spiraling into a great depression because her one true love, Big Al, is dead. It's very sad, but it is so good. That's another thing I really like about this movie is like they show these like horrified, gut-wrenched reactions to the deaths of these people that the girls are killing, and it just shows that the girls like truly not giving a shit. Like, it does not penetrate into their minds. Like, they don't care at all. Like, specifically later on when the sheriff is like hysterically crying at the very end of this, they're just smiling at him and they're happy about it, Like, that's how, like, there's no remorse at all, babes. None.
They don't need it. They're having fun without it.
But they do a lot of good misdirection. You're right, like adding the carry of it all into the mix because Sadie and Jordan win prom king and queen, and for me, like, we've seen Carrie. We did it a couple months ago. I was like, oh Jesus Christ, is that what's like gonna happen? Is he gonna like kill them when they're up on the stage or something like that. So it keeps you on your toes the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, they get that teacher too. They slit that teacher's throat outside of the school, which is a shame in the sense that she just told Sadie inside how proud she was of her for turning around her attitude. Because that teacher was one of the like main people calling them out and being like, you guys are too chronically
Not
online.
behaving properly.
They're too chronically online. They're detached from reality. That's what the teacher thinks the problem is. The problem is that they don't give a fuck. They simply do not have empathy for other people.
Yeah.
But you know, teacher's doing her best. And then not only does she get got, but Michaela sends the picture to Sadie just to be like a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, guess what's coming. And Sadie's like almost a little alarmed by it. And do you think she's like alarmed because she was glad that the teacher validated her? Or do you think that she was just like killing without me?
I think the latter.
A little killing. I think she liked the validation. I do think she genuinely, but she didn't like, she's not invested in having it.
No, yeah. I think she like knows that Michaela is also insane like her. And so she's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And
as much as like, she wants to kill, she doesn't want to be killed.
The prom is also the moment where I think both from the teacher and also from Jordan, she's realizing that like this life that she's constructed without Michaela as the solo tragedy girl sucks. Because it's not her. Like she literally, Jordan asks her something about her future, like, oh, have you considered Kent? Do you want to come be with me in Ohio? And she starts to answer and he literally cuts her off and keeps talking. To be like, come live my life with me, come conform to my life, like don't do your thing, come do my thing. And I think that's when she really starts to be like, okay, I don't care about any of this. I'm gonna go find my bestie. Which is fun because when she finds her, she's got that cool little mask.
I love the masks. The masks are really good, and they need those. They can't be showing their face all over town. Michaela's right. When they keep dressing this good, people are gonna notice them.
She's gotta wear plainer shoes, though.
Sure.
It's true. Something incognito. But yeah, I love the whole showdown with Jordan. Like the confrontation, all of it. And when Jordan is like, I'm going to save you, Sadie. I am a man and I'm going to save you. And brings her up the fucking ladder to this like tiny attic space in the theater. Like, honey, you're an idiot. And Michaela's like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Like he's never watched a horror movie. It's clear.
You never go upstairs.
You never go upstairs. It's a dead end. He's obviously not a theater kid either. Here's two huge flaws. Never watched a horror movie and isn't in theater. Big flaw all around. Canceled.
There was something about this one I think probably is super off base, but there was something about like being in like the top of the theater at the end that also gave me vibes of the very beginning of Friday the 13th when like the two kids are making out at the top of the theater and the killer comes in. But I think that's just me bringing that to the table. That one.
Oh, there could be something there.
Could be something there. But yeah, I just think, you know, things go really quickly at that point. Jordan goes like, I love you. Let me save you. I know the real you. You're nothing like her. She goes, you don't know me at all. They kill him. They kill everybody at prom.
There's a little shot of them.
Yeah, there's a shot of them dancing as children, spinning each other around. And then they're dancing in their prom dresses in the hall, spinning each other around. Gay. And then
while the Everly Brothers song is playing, it's like, whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, you know? It's so gay. It's literally
gay.
Yeah.
So gay. Come on. Oh.
Yeah. But they're famous because they're like sole survivors of this huge tragedy after this. And so they get more media attention, which is kind of funny because they
get millions of followers.
We're just gonna live our lives in anonymity, like blah blah blah. Which is obviously so fake. Yeah. but they're having fun with it all. They've got an upcoming book tour. They've got major interviews. They've got a Lifetime movie in the works. And then
Ooh.
they drive off into the sunset together.
Yeah, and I read this article that was like listing all the different ways this shit's so gay. But like in particular that part, they're like it's just like Bonnie and Clyde. Like they're driving off onto the sunset together, but they're not driving off a fucking cliff. They're like driving into their future like together hand in hand. And like some other person was like on Letterboxd. I can't find who it was. Oh, Letterbox user Dia was like, the real tragedy is these girls never got to kiss each other, which is so fucking true. But something else I want to talk about just as like a general theme of this movie, like obviously the main theme is this is gay and I feel strongly about it. The other theme that I've picked up is I think it's really interesting because like they, like I said before, they do a shitty job of killing people. They're not doing a great job. They're messing up all the time. They're figuring it out as they go. They're still smarties. Don't
They
get me
needed
wrong.
that mentor. They needed that
No,
training.
they needed the mentor. They needed the training. They needed to know like how to like, you know, not have fingerprints on everything, not do this, not do that. Because like they left a lot to get caught. Um, and it makes the fact that they're not really even persons of interest all the more egregious, and it made me think of this thing that I think of all the time, which is how like young girls like aren't taken seriously in like any regard ever, and so they would never be seen as a serious threat because they are a teen girl. But teen girls actually do have a lot of power, especially like in the music industry. This is where this comes out a lot, where they like literally
pop
like
culture.
fund everything. Yeah, and pop culture, like they drive fandoms. Like they are like the power of money making ability. You know, like all these teen franchises are fueled by them, so they are innately powerful. So I feel like this movie is making that same argument. It's just like you're ignoring these girls and thinking what they're doing is silly, but if you actually looked at it with with a microphone, my god, with a magnifying glass for one fucking second, you would see that there's something up and there's something sus going on, and these are the girls you've been looking for that have killed like 10 people at this point. I don't know. That was the main thing that I was seeing. I was just like, come on, sheriff, look above your mustache, and it's pretty obvious what's going on.
But it is a great mustache.
It
So
is.
I
He
can
looks
understand why
cool.
he's distracted.
He looks cool. He looks very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very fun to do gender bent protagonists, Billy and Stu, who get to drive off into the sunset together and have their happily ever after.
Yeah.
I also think one of my things that you guys know about, I don't remember how much I've like talked about it on the podcast at all, but I struggle sometimes with like true crime as a genre, and I think this movie like really encapsulates in a fun way a lot of the issues that I have with it. And it's not just like true crime in terms of like non-journalistic people, but also like journalism and the news in general is the way that it's been like commodified, and it's become exclusively entertainment, and they forget that these are real people and real families. And so like you have the teacher trying to be like, all right guys, that first of all, that was literally my boyfriend, but also all of these people are real people and all of these families are real families. And then you have these people who are like, I don't care, what about me? Or I don't care, what about my story or my job or whatever it is. And so I just think I like true crime, especially when done well and ethically. Yeah. So this is not like totally shitting on true crime as a whole, but I think true crime deserves a lot of a close watch and some questioning and like really engaging with like what are you doing and why. And so to me, I like that aspect of this movie a lot, being like, hey, just remember that the not that true crime podcasters are secretly murderers, but just let's remember to engage with like what are these people's motivations for having this thing in the first place.
No, yeah, I love that read. It's an important read because like we've talked about this before and you pointed that out to me, and you're right, it is exploitative in a lot of ways, especially some pods really uh aren't doing a journalistic integrity uh investigation, you know? So it's important to respect the families because that's what's most important. Um Found this article and it's from this blog called Gaily Dreadful. It's awesome.
I love
And their
that.
tagline is bursting out of your closet. I love it. And it's written by Terry Mesnard and it's called Tragedy Girls is the queer subtext we need. And the whole article is really, really fun. He like did like a poll on like, you know, like straight versus queer people if they got vibes from Sadie and Michaela. And like shockingly, he was really surprised. It's like skewed results, only 130 people, but like most people thought they got bestie vibes, not gay lover vibes. And he was
Well,
shocked. And I too am fucking
They were
Yeah,
wrong.
shocked.
they're
I'm
wrong.
so shocked. And he has this really great quote in his article where like he says, we've been trained for years to pick up on the coded queer language of film because historically that's pretty much the only representation we got. So just talking about like the context of why people read so much gay shit into horror all the time and other genres as well. But at the very end of the article, he brought up these like really fun references to other horror movies. And so I'm going to read what he said. He said, when you look back at queer coding in horror movies, particularly films in the 80s, you see characters ultimately reject homosexuality. In Freddy's Revenge, for instance, a kiss from a girl forces the metaphor of Freddy's homosexuality back into the closet. In Fright Night, not only does the queer coded best friend Evil Ed die, but the sexually confused Charlie is forced to confront the queer vampire next door in order to finally get with his girlfriend. The found family of the lost boys must be vanquished so that the heteronormative nuclear family can exist. It's a trend that's continued throughout film history, where any hints of homosexuality is typically relegated to subtext and must eventually be thwarted so that the straights can live happily ever after. And so he mentions all of that in stark contrast to what happens here in this movie. Like there's that part in the movie where Sadie chooses heterosexuality vibes, you know, over her killer lifestyle with her BFF slash lover. And you're like, think it might go that direction, but in the end they reunite and they have like a beautiful reunion with an Everly Brothers song playing in the background, and then they drive off into the sunset together, the two of them. So like the queerness wins in this movie, and that's so rare. There's also a lot in this article about how this movie is formulated like a rom-com, like the way that it works, like they have the rom-com like reunion at the end.
Third
And
act breakup. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's literally like built that way. And so I don't know. It's just it is gay. It's so gay. Why didn't they kiss? I'm mad. Ugh.
I obviously love a gay kiss. For me, this movie also works without it in the sense that like their love is so clear regardless, you know what I mean? I don't know what those straights weren't seeing, but that's their problem. It would have been nice if they kissed, but I don't know, I almost feel like I don't need it.
They definitely just kiss off screen.
Yeah.
I feel that, but I feel like this movie is so overt that it's just like, why not just make it canon, you know? It's like it just feels like annoying. And it came out in 2017, so I'm just like, come on, it was 2017. Like it
Yeah,
could have done it.
they could have.
That's why that they could have done it, and it could have been like just actually a queer horror movie. So like it gets frustrating, especially now. We're so lucky in 2022 where we get gay shit and horror like pretty often, at least recently. And so now I'm kind of like, let me rewrite history because I expect it. I expect the kiss. I expect 20 minutes of gross kissing to open the film, you know? Like that's what I'm looking for.
I think if I had to like in this moment and have put not really any other thought into it, but I think if I had to articulate in this moment why I'm okay with them not kissing, even if they had intended it to be gay, is that like it's not just that they are literally so in love with each other. You know what I mean? It's also that they have like a soul bond. They're the same. They're the only two people who understand each other.
True,
And I
true.
wonder if for an audience that's like not so appreciative of the queer themes at play here, that they would like just write it off as like, oh, they just want a bone, instead of like, oh, that's their person. You know what I mean? Like there's so much going on. It's not a rom-com. And so I wonder if I'm feeling like if they made that more of the focus, would it squeeze out the focus on that's their person?
Yeah. I mean, I don't need them making out the whole time. I just like feel like at the end, but that's fine. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I have to think about it more though.
Well, I think we're kind of doing how could it be gayer right now.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
But is there any other ways that it could be gayer that we have not already mentioned? I'm out of ammunition. I've said all I can say.
Well, as mentioned, Syl's little sidekick, I think gay. Her name, the actress's name is Katie Stottlemyre, by the way. And I think she's a cutie. But she's gay. Obviously, Sadie and Michaela are gay for each other.
I think Josh Hutcherson's character is bisexual, at least.
Yeah. I feel like
love
I
that
could
for
get like
him.
Pan vibes from him. It would have been fun.
No, he would say pan instead of bisexual too.
He'd be like,
Right.
I don't even see gender. And it'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you don't see gender? Some people's gender is very important to them. But he would be like, no, I'm above all of that. And they could have incorporated
like
it.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Spirit.
They could have incorporated it in that scene where Michaela's literally parked right outside of his house and calls him and does the heavy breathing, and he's guessing girls' names. And she's like, I'm number 4. But he could have thrown some boys' names in at that part. You know what I mean?
Irving.
Could have thrown in Irving. He goes, Angela, Tatum, Michelle, Michaela. And she's like, I was number 4.
Tatum could have been a boy's name.
Tatum could have been a boy's name.
True.
I've decided that it is. Thank you, Sydney.
It is. See? Canon.
Canon. All right. Then we get to our next question, which is, where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie? And I mean, it could have been a piece of like overwhelming meta-ness or something. I don't know if he was in it with all the Billy and Stu shit. Like it might have been overwhelming. I think that he couldn't have been Lowell because of that. I feel like it would have been too on the nose. But in any other case, I would have wanted him to be Lowell because he would have slayed that role.
I have a couple suggestions. Oh, you go, Sydney.
I think he should be Lowell because then another character would be the cop, and I don't want to see him play a cop.
But I would like to see him rock a big bushy mustache. But you could do that. You could do that styling for any character. It doesn't have to be a cop thing. But okay, I think that young time traveling Maddie Lily could play Jordan, Jack Quaid's character. I would like to see him play the straight man character in this role. I think that would be fun for him to be the Sidney Prescott also, if we're leading into the Billy Stu vibes. Not that Jack Quaid didn't do great. He did. I think he would, Quaid. The real spot for him, I think, would be as Mr. Gordon, who is the school janitor who has a couple different funny moments in the film. Like when he walks in on them in the wood shop and they're literally chopping up Syl's body, but he's just like so focused on clearing the trash that he like doesn't even see them, just turns the lights off and leaves. He also has a moment with Katie Stottlemyre's character, who just doesn't have a name, I don't think. I'm so sorry to her. IMDb trivia called her the bookish student. But when she's like walking down the hallway and she's like, good night, Mr. Gordon. And he's like, good night, you. And also I think that would have been another fun reference to Scream, where Wes Craven snuck in a little Freddy Krueger reference with the school janitor in the hallway wearing the red and green striped sweater.
Okay, I feel it. I like the vibes.
So I think Mr. Gordon is, in my heart, where I would place him as an ultimate role.
I feel that. That works for me. That brings us to who is the dumb bitch?
I think it's Jordan. He doesn't see her for who she is. He doesn't even realize he doesn't see her for who she is. And he's like, it doesn't matter that you killed my mom because I've decided that you're cute.
That does make him dumb.
He is dumb.
And he's kind of a
very,
bitch. He's not
dumb.
listening to her.
Yeah, he just has this like vision of who she is.
And he looks too old.
He does have the hound frog, though, which gives him some anti-dumb bitch points, but not enough to sway my nomination, I don't think. Because I don't have another, like, obvious nomination. Maybe the
neither. It's
sheriff,
not our-
his dad, for being bad at being a sheriff.
Craig.
Craig's not doing anything.
Craig's an innocent. Craig is an innocent.
How do
just
we
wants a
know?
hand
Wanted
job.
to hook up. He just wanted
Craig-
to hook up.
It's not his fault that he gave in to the pressures of toxic masculinity when she bullied him out of the car. I mean, he could be a dumb bitch, but I simply do not have enough information to say that he is above the sheriff or above Jordan himself.
I don't know.
Agree.
Craig gives me suspicious vibes.
You're suspicious of Craig. You don't believe in Craig.
Now.
Okay.
I'm a great
well,
judge of character.
You just don't like Austin Abrams. I like him. I like him in his various other roles. I'm gonna watch that movie with Cami Mendez and hockey. What's her first name?
Maya.
Maya. Thank you. I couldn't remember her name right then. I'm sorry. I got a lot in my big brain. Okay. Name recall is not one of those strong suits. We know this. Okay. Well, I don't care either way, so we can have it be a tie between them.
if Craig feels right to you, that can be your dumb bitch. I think for me, my dumb bitch has to be Jordan. Well, but then the sheriff. I don't know. Three-way
Well,
tie.
I'll say,
we can do.
I say sheriff, you
Okay.
say Jordan, and Sydney says Craig.
It's
Craig.
a birthday
answer-
episode. We all get one.
At the end of the day, babes, it's the men.
Yeah. Except
It's
for
the
Big Al.
men.
He gets an
Except
anti-dumb
for
bitch
Big
award.
Al. Big
And
Al
he gets
is
a
everything.
hot bitch award as well.
He gets the hot bitch award.
Sexy bitch
We're
award.
adding a new segment. Who's the sexiest bitch in the movie? It's Big Al.
It's Big Al.
Okay, so that brings us to 9 out of 5. So this movie's so underrated. I feel like I never hear anyone except for you, love you, babe, talk about it, and I think that is wrong. And so I think we're doing the Lord's work here to bring up this movie.
Yeah.
But what did people think?
It was well received is the thing. Is like nobody has heard of it for the most part. It's like very under the radar. I did try looking for news articles just to see if I could find much about this movie, and like it was getting some play as like a movie that you should see before Bodies, 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 and that's like in conversation doing kind of a similar thing. So I think hopefully if you're looking for like horror listicles, you'll see it pop up, you know what I mean? But that aside, it is quiet, but people like it. It has a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, which is fine. But on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 84% fresh from critics, which is like way higher than I would expect.
Yeah.
And then it has 62% fresh from audiences. So like, I guess it is one of those ones where it's like critics really were like, okay, I see all the different pieces, and then maybe audiences like just weren't vibing with it as much. I obviously love it though. I think it's so fun. I think it's so funny. It's just like there's so many lines that are just so great. I can't list them all. And so I won't try, but it slaps constantly. And it's very gay to me and to you and to that one article that you found. Yeah. I just think I just think it's really fun, and I'm happy to be the one out here spreading the news about Tragedy Girls.
Well, what will you give it?
I'll give it 5 knives. To me, it's perfect.
Hell yeah. I think I'm going to give it a 4.8. I love it so much. I mean, this movie was a joy to watch once again. I don't know. You're right. It is a horror movie for the girlies, but it's for everyone in the
For
end.
everyone.
But yeah, I loved it. I think the soundtrack fucking slaps. The music in this movie is really good and really fun. And very of the time of 2017, which sounds weird to say that of the time because I feel like I've aged myself. Anyway, we're moving on. But I love the performances. I'm in love with Alexandra Shipp. The outfits were cute in a weird kind of quirky way. And I don't know, I just thought it was really fun and really smart, and it's really great to see a horror movie from the killer's perspective done in such a cute way. Like, I don't know. It was just a joy. It was a laugh. It was a gas. 4.8 out of 5.
I'm waffling on 2 scores.
Okay.
A 0 or a 1. I'm kidding.
No. Higher than that, right?
It gets like, I get a lot of like Heather vibes.
Yeah.
Heather's,
yes,
vibes
for sure.
from this movie. And Heather's is like one of my favorite movies of all time ever. And so it has that, but it just, there's something about it's like new horror movies to me just don't, there's something about them that I just don't like.
It's too modern for you.
It is. It's not fun. It's not, I don't know, like I don't like it. But so I'll probably,
may I put some words in your mouth for you?
Yes.
You don't like the modern vibes, but you do appreciate some of the things that they're doing here, is what I'm getting from you. Like, you're seeing what they're putting into it, but you'd like it more if it was like less social media pilled.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I just feel like social media is so easy, like, especially when, like, because they get called like vapid and narcissists and all that kind of stuff. And it's so easy to do like that with social media. And there's so many movies that has social media that I think it's a little lazy to just be like, oh, social media, it's a thing. Like, I mean, I know it's real, but I don't know. It irks me. So this is probably a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
That's higher than I thought it would be, though. So I'll take it. To me, that is a very nice little score.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Should we sing?
No.
Happy birthday to you. I didn't sing the other one because I know that just makes Sydney very upset even to hear it, even if not directed at her.
Go, shawty. It's your birthday. We gonna party like it's your birthday. We gonna sip a Cardi like it's your birthday. And we don't give a fuck because it's your birthday. Our 9/11 queen.
Oh, great. Thanks.
The reason for the season, you know?
Yeah.
Never forget. Chelsea's birthday.
Oh, God. We talk about 9/11 a lot on the pod. Anyway.
Maybe because it's technically all about me and my birthday. Maybe it's because I'm here. Yeah, it's an homage.
It's an
that
homage
sucks,
to
actually.
you.
I hate that.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's been this way since 3rd grade. So what are you gonna do? That's maybe why we're a little, not that lots of people don't have lots of things to say about little 9/11 gigglies. But I kind of feel like I can't feel that bad about it all the time. I have to have a fun birthday. Do you want me to not have a fun birthday?
But anyway, we've got another fun one coming up. Sydney, you're introducing this one, right?
I love this movie, and my favorite memory of this movie was Monica was having a Halloween party, and she was like, Sydney, put a fun, scary movie on in the background. And I was like, okay, great. And so I put on Teeth, and then everybody started watching it instead of dancing and having a party. And then Monica was like, mad because we weren't dancing. We were watching this movie. And then she was like, oh, wait, no, this movie slaps.
Oh, well, we had been watching it earlier in the day, I thought, and that's why we put it on. And so like everyone was just sitting there watching it, and I was like, you guys, it's like 10:30, like we have to start doing the party now. There was like 20 people squashed on my couch. So I went and I turned off the sound of the movie and I started playing Monster Mash. And so people just still sat there though with the sound fucking off while Monster Mash was playing. So just so they could watch in horror as this shit goes down. So I haven't seen it since then. And
haven't
I'm
either.
excited. I'm excited to relive it. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to listen to it with no sound and just Monster Mash.
Show me your teeth.
Great Lady Gaga song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got to use that.
Great Lady Gaga song.
Incredible Lady Gaga song.
Anyway, y'all, we're getting so close to Halloween. It's almost October. Can you feel it? I can feel it. And why don't you take that? Ooh, why don't you take that energy and transmit it into a 5-star review for us on Apple Podcasts? What a time. What a beautiful medium. The haiku review in spooky season. Imagine writing a Halloween themed haiku. I think it just makes a lot of sense. And it's something that I'm sure you could do. So you should do it. And also follow us on social media. We're at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And don't forget about our YouTube channel.
We're
Thanks for
very popular over
listening.
there.
Oh yeah. It's huge. It's huge. We have maybe 40 subscribers. I think I actually highballed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that seems like way too many.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't checked it in literally months.
Anyways, bye, Spooky.
I'm gonna be murdered. I'm so happy it's you.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.